It is Springfield's Morning News. Good morning. I'm Greg Bishop on 92.7 WMAY, waking you up with a little bit of a controversial topic here. And, of course, if you've got small children and you don't want to hear certain controversial things, I might want to urge you to, sadly, tune away. But it's an important conversation because it deals with children, especially children in public schools being exposed to certain things that parents might find questionable or controversial or objectionable. It is, of course, Springfield's Morning News, and we've got Springfield District 186. It's the largest school district in the listening area. And there was a recent revealing of sorts on a very popular social media channel, Libs of TikTok. Now, whatever you think about Libs of TikTok, the name itself implies bias and partisanship. But what the channel does is it goes through the social media channel TikTok, and then it grabs videos of teachers across the country promoting certain ideologies that people feel is controversial. And a lot of the ideology, it's pretty early in the morning this morning. Still got to drink my coffee and get my lips moving. But the ideology is something that not everybody agrees with, and a lot of it deals with issues of individuals experiencing gender dysphoria or transgenderism and a variety of other types of things that people feel about themselves and wanting to ensure that they are included and respected and so on. And it's something that's spurred national headlines now with a librarian from a local public high school promoting this book called Gender Queer on their social media channels. And when I say it's gone across the country, Fox News reporting on their main websites as well and on their affiliates' websites that an Illinois school librarian promotes gender queer on TikTok. And you can actually see the librarian has made their TikTok account private after Libs of TikTok shared on their channel the video. And here's how the video plays out on that was captured and shared for posterity here from Libs of TikTok.
Oh, it's Miss Corcoran and Abe yet again hanging out in the library talking about the Teen Reader's Choice Award books. Next up, we are talking about this graphic novel memoir by Maya Kobabe called Gender Queer. One of the things I loved about this book is that it's a great window and mirror book, meaning people who are questioning their sexual identity and their gender identity are going to view this book as a mirror, a reflective experience of their own. And this book's also a great window for people who want to understand that perspective.
So the book itself, though, is controversial and something that you're going to hear from Awake Illinois founder Shannon Adcock why it's controversial. But I did reach out to Springfield District 186. I have yet to hear back from them. I also reached out to the teacher via email. I have yet to hear back from them. And I also reached out for any kind of reaction and context from local advocates in the LGBTQ plus space. But here's Shannon Adcock from Awake, Illinois, who raises concerns that they're hearing from parents all across the state when it comes to this book.
Yes, we are seeing the community concerns over the book Gender Queer in libraries. And I think, unfortunately, there's a lot of miseducation among parents, among communities as to what the content is, what the intention is. And Awake Illinois has never been one to be the, quote, book banners or book burners that people portray us to be. And the same goes for many other parent groups that are trying to inform parents and communities of the content of this book. When you break it down, Gender Queer shows graphic illustrations of sexual acts, including oral sex. And so I think that the discussion among communities is very noble in the sense that people need to know what's in the book and what's accessible by minors at their school. So the content speaks for itself. It is depicting sexual acts. And some schools have had parents say, we want the book off the shelves, or we want it behind a shelf with parent permission. And those discussions are happening currently. And parents can look and see if this book is in their school libraries. In the case of Libs of TikTok, what they posted was a teacher openly showing a video of herself promoting this book and saying it's here and accessible. So parents need to know what's in the book, and I encourage you to actually seek out the book and look at it yourself, because you will see the sex acts illustrated that is accessible to minors. But I think that what people have missed, Greg, about the overall theme of this book is something that I find actually even more alarming, which is that the book is being told from the standpoint of a teacher who had some conflict with their gender identity. And it ends with the teacher standing in front of the class with a bubble above their head saying, I'm going to tell my children, my classroom, that, I'm gay and transgender. That's basically the moral of the story. So this to me is not surprising that you have teachers who see this as sort of their call to action to be the noble saviors of the gay community in the classroom. It's not just depicting sex acts. There's actually a moral to the story, which again is for teachers to be the champion of gender ideology and sexuality to their classroom. And that's what parents need to really educate themselves on, is what is the end goal for this book? And people will say, well, it's for inclusivity. It's to make sure that the LGBTQ youth doesn't kill themselves. They jump right to that.
We'll hear more from Shannon Adcock, in particular, that question of how do we find that middle ground with parents who don't want their children exposed to certain graphic images concerning sexual acts, while also providing that avenue for individuals experiencing gender dysphoria or questions about their sexuality who may be of a certain minor age. How do they do that? Well, I asked Shannon Adcock that question, and we'll revisit this coming up next here with Springfield's Morning News. I'm Greg Bishop on 92.7 WMAY, Springfield's News and Talk. So we're hearing some of the controversy around a book at a public high school here in Illinois where a librarian was promoting on TikTok the book Gender Queer, and apparently it has graphic portrayals of sex acts. And the book's about an individual experiencing uneasiness about their born gender and having a gender identity crisis, finding their gender they want themselves to be later in life, and then wanting to express that to the children of a class that they teach. And obviously, when that spreads on social media that a librarian at a public school is promoting this book, you can see the natural progression of the controversy. And it's made all the way to even Fox News reporting on this. I have yet to hear back from the school district. I have yet to hear back from the teacher who had this TikTok account promoting this, or this librarian that had this account promoting this. But her account now on TikTok has been turned to private, but the video that's of her promoting the book still available via Libs of TikTok on Twitter. So I reached out to Awake Illinois to get some reaction, and their parents' rights group, and Shannon Adcock is the founder of that group. And she talked about what's possible to happen after the election. And she says parents are going to get activated and move forward to try to bring about some, what they say is common sense, dealing with controversial books in public libraries.
Yeah, so after the election, it wouldn't surprise me if parent groups approach, and Awake Illinois would certainly, champion this, approach legislators to say, what can we do to ensure that the graphic depiction of sex acts is not available to minors at publicly funded libraries, whether it's a school district or beyond? I think that is something that people will probably explore. But for now, the key is transparency. Districts need to show what type of materials are available to minors, and parents have to be involved in what is actually being shown to children in their publicly funded schools.
So earlier, last segment, you heard Shannon talk about the supporters of these books say that it's important to have these types of books and art forms and information in front of kids so that we can foster an inclusive collection, an inclusive education atmosphere, and really kind of push back on any type of mental problems that may develop from not feeling included, including possible suicidal ideation. And I asked Shannon, these are, of course, controversial issues, but how do we find that middle ground? Where is that middle ground? And here's what Shannon had to say.
That's a great question. And I genuinely think that there should be awareness as to any youth that is struggling, whether it has to do with their sexuality or their home life. And that is why teachers for a long time have been educated on how to help students who may be struggling. But that conversation has really trumped the parents and has cut parents out of the conversation, which has many parents' communities worried. So how do you empower the whole community and every stakeholder to ensure that their youth is being enriched? And there is no data that shows that the school is in any way to play a major role in nurturing the sexual identity of children. And that's what this book is doing. And it's basically trying to encourage educators to be that person for kids. And so I think there are a lot of parents who are saying, hold on, where is my role in this as the mom and the dad? Right? Why is it just falling on schools? And some teachers may have a very noble cause for it, but parents are very worried because this may not fit in their expectations for the conversations they want their children having with teachers at their school.
And Shannon wanted to provide just one last statement on this, and it's something that she says is important to consider in the conversation about graphic portrayals of sex acts being in comic books that are available for children at public schools.
Nobody has been able to share why depicting sex acts in any book is the way to empower youth, particularly in public schools. So are we really using a best practice here with a book that shows graphic depiction of sex acts in the name of inclusivity? And Awake Illinois has been no stranger to questioning how the word inclusivity has been weaponized in order to push an ideology that has yet to be proven to really help children.
So that's Shannon Adcock, founder of Awake Illinois, a parents' rights group that has been very critical of LGBTQ ideology, she says, getting into public education. Again, I reached out to Springfield School District 186, did not hear back. Even reached out to the librarian's email from the TikTok video. And also I reached out to a local advocacy group that promotes LGBTQ rights for reaction. I have yet to hear back. We'll, of course, bring that to you as we get it here with Springfield's Morning News. And I'd love to hear your thoughts. 217-629-7970. That's the phone number here with Springfield's Morning News. Should these types of books be available for students in school? And Adcock, earlier in the conversation I had with her yesterday, she talked about how these books can be in schools, but maybe behind the counter with access to it being by parental notification or parental, green lights, approval, making sure that the parents know that their students are going to have access to this book. So maybe that's the approach to take. But I'd like to hear from you as well. At some point, you can email bishoponair@gmail.com. Best way to do it, though, is to call in live and local at 217-629-7970. Again, 217-629-7970. It's right here with Springfield's Morning News. I'm Greg Bishop on 92.7 WMAY, Springfield's News and Talk. But the book itself, Gender Queer, controversial book. Obviously, some of the images that I've seen from the book, it's a comic book, it's a graphic novel, and I can't really explain or describe on air what some of the frames in this comic book portray. It's borderline FCC complaint territory, so I don't want to necessarily do that. But listen, I mean, there's obviously a place for these kind of conversations with individuals who are experiencing gender dysphoria. Sometimes a book like this can influence an individual to go one way or the other. And there's this constant debate here that's really focused on, is this for children under 18, for minor children, is this a natural occurrence, or is it being stoked by being the latest trend? What happens to children who have this? Are they going to undergo hormone therapy? Are they going to undergo gender reassignment procedures, either hormone therapy or surgeries? And then where do we draw that line? And I think that's an important question that, unfortunately, when you want to approach these subjects, people are so dug in on their particular side, we don't get to a true cohesive and compromised state. And when you have each side of this dug in and not willing to bend, then you're going to have some serious issues. So I think that we're not done hearing about this story. Again, I reached out to the school board or the school district, have yet to hear back. And we'll bring you the latest developments on this. And whether or not the book is going to be available in the public libraries at Springfield School District. Is it going to be possibly limited or restricted? And as Adcock from Awake, Illinois, offered up as an option, to essentially put it behind the desk at the library and only have it accessible to students with their parents' permission and knowledge. So I think obviously something we're not going to be done talking about anytime soon. So we'll revisit it as things develop.